This is transmission 26. We're going to drop into a very brief opening meditation, followed by the channeling, and then we will have some Q&A. So let's go ahead and take a comfortable meditation posture that we can hold for some time. And let's allow ourselves to take this moment, this singular moment, to become more presently aware and here and now. Taking a few soft and deep breaths to center ourselves in this time-space coordinate. Feeling into our body, into our existence. Allowing ourselves to feel our natural existence that radiates through the body, animates the breath. Feeling that pure presence, recognizing the inherent value of our existence, having value simply because we exist. And by definition, we are a part of the grand orchestration of all that is, because we are. We are here, we are now, we are present. That's a part and an integral part of the grand orchestration of the entirety of the all that is. Good day to you. We welcome you to these realms of light, where the vast majorities of who you are also exist. We welcome you to these realms of light from where your physical lives, your physical personalities, and your entire physical worlds also spring. You are in your current time-space coordinate, moving through a seasonal transition, something that is very easily recognizable in your external world as you shift from increasing darkness to increasing light with your solstice. And very soon you will also be experiencing in your lunar cycle the return of light. And so you can use this as a very natural, pivotal point, an opportunity to pivot into more of yourself, to use the natural solar cycle and the lunar cycle to ride the wave of momentum into experiencing more light, more presence, more awareness in your lives. Now, it is true that in each moment point, you can use each moment point as a pivot point into more light. However, as you are becoming a culture that is more in tune and attuned to your natural surroundings, this is an excellent opportunity to synchronize yourselves with nature, because you are nature. And while some of you might live in more natural surroundings, others of you live in dense population areas. But for everybody, you can tap into these great cycles that come once a year and once a month and ride these waves of momentum. For you are, as a culture, experiencing a very powerful and very long cycle by your reckoning of time, of the transformation of darkness to light. You are for a long time now pivoting from darkness to light in many powerful and profound ways, and many of you are experiencing this, experiencing the so-called symptoms of transformation, whereby you experience more awareness of your senses, extending into non-physical realities, quasi-physical realities, the nature spirit realm, and so on. You are also experiencing periods of illumination of a variety of patterns of negativity, things you have picked up along your physical trail, varieties of beliefs, limitations. Those are also being illuminated. Thusly, you go through these periods and these oscillations of reveling in the light, and at the same time then shifting into periods of examining the negativities that are present in your world, that are present within your own being, and only being reflected out into the world around you. So you're riding these waves up and down, and of course, this is a symptom of the transformation of your age, a symptom of allowing more light to flow through your dense personality structures, that light at times illuminating your negativities and limitations, and at other times illuminating for you the incredible possibility and potential that you have as an individual, as a species, as a planetary civilization, and as an interplanetary civilization. So use these moment points, these pivotal moments in your natural cycles that are around you, and begin to harmonize yourselves with the natural environment, for that is one of the powerful gateways to harmonize with your own true nature as you experience yourself to be. Many of you are already venturing into the realm of communications and sightings of nature spirits. This will begin to greatly accelerate, particularly for those of you who choose to engage with these particular energies, making yourself available, taking the time, as it were. And naturally, as a culture, you will find yourselves experiencing these reflected not only in your individual experiences, but also in your entertainment. You will find increasing amounts of stories and storytelling of civilizations that are very much in alignment with nature. You might look upon these stories and feel a sense of longing, a tugging in your heart for other possibilities that might be explored in your civilization. So we invite you to use the momentum of those stories to propel you even further, and to tell your own story, to craft your own stories of not only transformation but integration with the nature that is all around you. Many of you will be tapping into ancient civilizations that were much more harmoniously aligned with your natural world. In particular, the Lemurian civilization was one that was very much living in alignment with nature. Now, their cultural heritage, shall we say, their frequency will be much more available to you, so you can tap into that. So you're riding these waves. Now, of course, recognize that as these stories are translated into your culture, into your art forms, into your books and stories and movies and so on, they will contain, to some degree, the frequencies of these ancient civilizations and the frequencies of the potential and the possibilities for humanity, but also woven into that will be the trials and tribulations of your modern times and your modern age. So you can learn to sift through and recognize what is simply a reflection of your third density reality weaving its way into these stories, as well as perceiving the frequency of these ancient civilizations that were much more in alignment and in attunement. So this pivotal year, 2023, which is why we're bringing awareness to the solstice and the new moon, is a pivotal year in this cycle of transformation, as many of you know and many of you feel. 2023, as you name it to be, this particular solar cycle, which actually begins yesterday of your time and your solstice, is a year of incredible potential. Now, of course, you know you are living in multiple timelines and in multiple streams, and you have the opportunity, like a frog jumping across the lily pads, to hop from time track to time track. So as yet you are still seeing a multitude of time tracks and possibilities, and so it does require a kind of homing in on your home signals, shall we say, and really minding the lily pad that you hop onto without falling too much into so-called unconscious momentum, and rather choosing more deliberately the trajectory of your life. And 2023 being such a pivotal year, it is incredibly important for you now to be really mindful of the lily pads that you hop onto moment to moment, in each and every day, in each and every moment of each and every day, because so much is still open to you, so many time tracks are available. It is up to you to home in on the one that you prefer, to raise your frequency, align yourself with that, and to make those conscious, deliberate choices that are perhaps feeling a little bit unusual or out of your sense of normalcy, because otherwise you are simply allowing the momentum of your training, your schooling to carry you forward, and you will find yourself on the very same time track, recreating the same experiences. Meanwhile, this incredible opportunity is all around you. So 2023, many doorways, many portals are open to you now. Having passed through this portal of the solstice now, these portals are highly, highly charged and available to you as a civilization. And they will continue to be so for those of you that continue to home in and tune in on them. So it'll be, shall we say, a mixed bag of both the exalted states you will experience as you open these doorways and these portals within you, and the magic bursts forth into your life, and you find these ecstatic explosions of synchronicity and alignments. And there will be some periods where the intensity of the frequency as you raise it will shed much light upon limitations you didn't even know you had bought into, because by definition they had been unconscious up to that point. They will be revealed for you. So use the skills that you know, roll your sleeves up and look at those beliefs and those ideas that come up. If you find yourself experiencing some emotions of separation, then use that momentum to further extricate yourself from the old third density patterns and beliefs that are now no longer patterns, because once they are brought to your awareness, they are choices. So choose wisely. For it is your choices in each moment point that steer you through these lily pads, these matrices of time probabilities as you hopscotch. As your very well-known channeler Jane Roberts channeled for Seth, you want to have the ability to fly through belief systems as a butterfly flies through backyards. The idea of very easily shifting in and shifting out of ideas that you previously had bought into. Always come back to the moment point, the present, and realize that from the present you have an infinity of choices. in each moment point you are in a hyperdimensional sphere, and each point on the sphere, which is infinity, presents an infinity of choices. For each point on the sphere represents an open pathway. And thusly, rather than taking the pathway into which the momentum of your belief matrix takes you, pause, take a breath, and realize that all these points on the sphere give you capacity to choose in a tremendous way. You are tremendously powerful beings. And even while some of the parameters of your experience have been set at quote-unquote other levels, to use a time-space reality term, nevertheless, you have much freedom within the theme you chose to explore. So use that freedom, use the moment point, which is every moment that you experience, as a jumping off point. And of course, it goes without saying that it is highly important now to truly materialize, to act, to ground your passion through action. For that is you stepping on those lily pads that are most in alignment with your true natural self. And you will find yourself quickly hopscotching across timelines to those realities that you do prefer. 2023, you are very supported, now more than ever, in your current reckoning of time, to make those shifts and make those changes, to open to your natural world, to open to your true natural selves. For you are nature, and you have tremendous capacity now to begin to build the bridge between your so-called technological world and your natural world. Now, while these as yet may seem quite at odds with one another, you do have the potential to develop technology that is resonantly aligned with your planetary consciousness. This is indeed possible, and very probable for those of you who are shifting to those timelines that are in alignment with your true natural selves, those of you who have chosen the theme of exploration, of the transformation of darkness, delight. So allow yourself to, at least in your imagination, begin blending this capacity to harmonize both nature and technology. For they have seemed very much at odds, but this is because you have bought into the paradigm of separation and segregation. Thusly, it seemed as if you were extracting yourselves from nature. But in truth, you are an expression of nature, an extension of nature. You are nature, therefore your technology can be just as natural as the flowers and the leaves opening up. For all you can produce is nature, because you are nature. And simply now you have chosen to reflect within that which you create this sense of separation and segregation, compartmentalization. And now as you pivot towards integrated experience, you will find that you too will begin to invent technologies that begin to fall back into resonance with nature as an experience. For you can never truly separate yourselves from nature, but you have very masterfully created and orchestrated an experience of separation, which is quite a feat indeed, considering that all of existence always supports you. To come to that degree of amnesia itself is quite a feat. And now you are moving to the age of remembrance. So remember who you truly are, and explore the natural world in ways that have not been explored for quite a long time in your reckoning of time in your cultures. For there are many magical portals waiting for your discovery, and rather than simply exploring the surface level of reality in your natural world, you are now going to explore the multidimensional nature of your own planet, which has many portals within it to many dimensions. So that is our very simple message for today. We very much wish to convey the magnitude of this powerful time period that you have entered, that you have labeled as your 2023, entering into a new dimension of experience. And while it might still be a bit of a roller coaster as you transform darkness to light, you will find those peaks in this particular year to be quite extraordinary from your reckoning. They will in fact be very natural and ordinary, but seemingly extraordinary due to the level of forgetfulness of the magic that you have bought into as a culture. So then we will now shift towards questions and answers, and thusly we will remind you to unmute your technology before you speak, and then please remute that technology as you complete your question.
I have a question about counterparts.
Very good.
Are they aware, I'm guessing they are, that we are going through this big transformation? What is the best way to find out who your counterparts are and how to connect with them? And are they actively seeking a connection with us?
There is an expression in your world that which you are seeking is seeking you. And this is of course very appropriate. Now of course it depends which counterparts you refer to, for you have many counterparts, and those that are experiencing themes of forgetfulness, well, of course then their particular focal point may very well not be aware. Even though information is constantly streaming back and forth in the matrix of the oversoul, this might present to the more forgetful counterparts as dreams or as intuitions and insights, not necessarily with the label of being as coming from another counterpart. Now those counterparts that are much more aware of the hyperdimensional links that are always opening and closing within the oversoul, then they will of course be more aware. And certain aspects of the oversoul are very much in communication, direct communication, going back and forth. Now because you are in a time-space format that has also chosen a great degree of limitation and forgetfulness, of course, this is why the question is stated the way it is. And you are in a time period or a cycle of growth that deals with remembrance. And of course, the easiest way to go about this is, first of all, to understand that all the appointments have already been made, and to trust the way your life unfolds and use that as the base ground to stand upon. Now from there, as you begin to pursue your interests, your passions, your artworks, and your different creative projects, you may receive bundles of insight that tickle your neurological brain works and land in your awareness in your physical awareness as inspirations, as insights, as storylines, and so on. Now, this may at times come with a tag or with the frequency of knowing this comes from a counterpart. Many times it will not come with that particular information, because you have chosen themes of exploration that are very, as yet still, monoconscious, expanding into multiplicity conscious, to multiple personality order, as a certain channeler likes to say. So we would suggest not to so much be concerned about opening up with this counterpart or that counterpart, but rather simply getting on with grounding your passion into action, using the Sasani formula as you know it to be. And as you raise your frequency, it will, when it's irrelevant, become apparent when information is coming from specific aspects And for some of you and many of you, for some time it won't necessarily come with that particular information. It will simply come in as insight and inspiration, as new thoughts and new ideas, a kind of information that has a different and distinct pattern. Now, one permission slip you can use is that when you ground your energy through action and you begin to receive this kind of transdimensional inspiration, first of all, to recognize it, recognize that you have a certain kind of neurological rhythm in your creation of your reality, a kind of feedback mechanism, and to become very much aware when you get insights and inspirations that are a little bit in a different rhythm and a different neurological pattern. You can develop the sensitivity to follow that thread, of course, by continuing to implement the information that you are receiving and grounding it through action so that more keeps coming, but also in your quiet times, meditating upon it and following that thread and being very curious as to where it goes. And of course, you can ask your guides and higher mind and assistants in this. And some of the time, you will be able to follow that thread as you meditate and be with the energy that is coming in at this slightly different neurological pattern with slightly different neurological impact. And follow that thread, and you might be pleasantly surprised at what you find. You might at first find inklings of senses or inklings where it comes from, what civilization it comes from. You might, for example, realize it comes from a certain star system or a certain ancient civilization, or perhaps a future version of your own civilization. And from there it might become even more specific. You might get a sense, oh, this is coming from a female counterpart or a male counterpart, or from an extra-dimensional counterpart, where such distinctions might not even have a place. So following those threads, developing that sensitivity, if this is your passion, this is one way to ground it, is to follow those threads and be very, very curious, like very delicately pulling a silk strand in your mind and in your heart and feeling into where it goes and being a bit of an explorer of consciousness in that way. Now, most of you have set up your themes that in such a way that you don't necessarily need to know, and you can trust that information that you need to know will be given. But this is one permission slip you can use. Use those quiet moments to follow those silk threads and see where they go. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions or further clarifications?
That was it. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, I have two questions.
Very good.
Hello.
Good day.
Good day to you. What is the role of cats right now with the transition to the 4 density?
A very good question. And this has been spoken by a variety of teachers and channelers, and we will expound upon it as well. The idea of the cat is, of course, one, in keeping with the theme of our transmission today, they're very naturally aligned and attuned to their environment. They are not only tuned to their physical environment or that narrow band of frequency that you consider, that you label your physical reality, for even that is a label and a limitation in and of itself. They are tuned to a much wider band of frequencies. And so the sense of attunement, this idea in your world that a cat always lands on its feet and the cat is highly intuitive, all of that is relevant. And so in one sense you can use the agility of the cat to understand that no matter how the roller coaster goes, no matter how many ups and downs, you will always land on your feet. And this funny idea you have of the 9 lives is also a great metaphor you can use, because a cat will always find its way. And you can expand that to yourself to realize that if you take a trajectory that you don't prefer, you can simply reshift yourself and reorient yourself and begin a new life. And so in that sense, there are no dead ends. There is only learning and growth. And of course, the idea of peering into alternate dimensions of existence, they are great knowers of portals and can perceive entities that you as humans are barely learning to perceive. So they have that, as you call it, extrasensory, but we will call it very natural sensory expansion. And you can learn a lot from those of you that share your lives with cats. You can tap into their frequencies and, as it were, model, or we are looking for the right word, fall into resonance with their neurological impulses as a kind of way of entrainment for your own minds to begin to recognize that you too have those capacities to run your neurological impulses at these certain frequencies that lend you to the opening of your awareness and new ways for you. So the cats can be great teachers in that way. They are also nocturnal, as you know, thusly the metaphor being that they have the capacity to see through the darkness. Likewise, too, you are developing that ability to see through all the darkness in your world and to see truly the divine orchestration behind all of it, even if it seems fragmented and compartmentalized from one level of existence and experience. As you learn to peer through the darkness, as you too learn to have nocturnal vision and experience, perception, you will be able to likewise see through the darkness and see the inherent orchestration behind the cacophony that is fragmentation and compartmentalization. You will truly see that it is all an orchestration. Thus, you too will learn to have that kind of nocturnal sense. So those are a few ideas. They can be great teachers, and they have been, and even have been revered by a variety of human experiencers and cultures. So is there anything you wish to expand upon, or is there a second question you mentioned?
The second question, thank you for this one. It's about the teenager between 12 and 16. They all talk about for the last few months the slipwalker. They said they're going to school and they see those slipwalker came from nature and slipped to a different friend at school, and they kind of they don't look have a fear about it, but they're always talking about that. Oh, I see a slipwalker. Do you understand, or do you know why they start to see those things more and more and more?
Well, as we have said, of course, not only are your senses accelerating, so too is your imagination accelerating, and imagination, of course, is a link and an opener. And thusly, you will have more capacity to experience that which is from the realm of imagination as a connector to other realms and other dimensions. And your young ones are particularly more attuned to this expansion of consciousness, having already come through portals, being upgraded, as it were, to be more tuned in. Thusly, some of this is the beginning of play, which opens to these other dimensions, and some of this is the actual perception of extra-dimensional energy as it, quote-unquote, impinges into your physical realm. So it is a, shall we say, a mixed bag. It is all a symptom of this kind of awakening of consciousness, and it will be very prevalent in your young ones, because as we have said, they come in through a portal into your physical realm that does not require nearly as much amnesia as many of you have experienced. And while it takes time and process for you to break down the limitations, many of these young ones come in without the limitations to begin with. So they come starting off at a different platform, a different frequency band than you have. So it is a mixed bag, as we said. But does that explain, or does that help, or is there something more you wish to clarify?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Yes, play is a wonderful way to begin to open these abilities. And now we have yet one more permission slip, which is expanding upon the threads we spoke of earlier, the idea of creating imaginative stories as a springboard from the question we just answered. You can use your imagination as a portal to open to other dimensions, and thusly, for those of you that have a creative bent, begin to create very playful and imaginative stories. And you will find that the characters within your own stories that you create will actually be very much reflective of either portions of your personality and or portions of your oversoul, as in your counterparts. So this is another way to begin to playfully open up your consciousness, to begin to experience your counterparts through the arts, through storytelling. So, are there any other questions? Very good, then let us take a few moments to anchor in these insights and experiences, for while they might on the one hand seem simple and simplistic, on the other hand recognize that we are transmitting frequency bands or information at other levels that will, like seeds planted, sprout at the most appropriate times, for some of you in your dream time, for the others of you in your day-to-day waking experience as insights spring into your awareness. Thusly, we are co-creating a bubble reality together, whereby within this bubble reality, we might not necessarily notice the shift to such a high degree. Meanwhile, the shift has been quite profound as you re-enter and reinsert yourself into physical reality, as we quote-unquote deconstruct this bubble, as it were. You will find yourself not crystallizing into the same world, but to an entirely new world, even as you do so in each moment point. Experiences such as these provide a kind of platform, a focal point, a pivotal point to re-emerge into the world as a new you, into a new version of Earth. So we will not say so much Happy New Year as we will say Happy New You. And we wish to convey our appreciation for the co-creation of this circle, for you are greatly helping to anchor in these higher dimensional and extra dimensional frequencies into your civilization and into your world by holding these circles, becoming available, and then acting on whatever inspirations and insights come from within, for you are great anchorers of this powerful transformative energy in your world. Thusly, may your 2023 resonate and reflect these powerful transformations externally as you experience them internally. With that, then, we will wish each and every one of you a beautiful, loving, and a glorious, fond good day. Well, all right.